Yeah, hey, I am just about to leave. I'm traveling down to North Carolina to visit my daughter who lives down there doing an internship. I don't know if I mentioned it before, but I have six children, so I'm pretty active in their lives. I just wanted to mention something from yesterday's journal entry. I wanted to just talk about this concept of the cancer journey not just being a physical one, and also not something just to be white knuckled through. In the beginning of my cancer journey, I thought, okay, here I am, a year of not feeling well, a year of seeing hematuria, blood in my urine, and three different urologists checking me out, but no one bothering to do even simple x-rays. They thought there's no way this guy has anything serious. He's a young 43-year-old man in good shape. But when they finally did these x-rays and they saw this, then they did the scraping and all that, and I ended up down at Memorial Sloan. They in fact had discovered high-grade urothelial cancer. You know the story. And so that first year and getting the surgery happened very quickly because high-grade urothelial cancer, it's pretty important to deal with it quickly. If it gets outside the bladder, it doesn't have a high survival rate, especially if it goes metastatic to organs. If it stays regional, it's a little bit better. What, 12% or 20, something like that. But if it goes distant, it's like a 5% survival rate for a year. Maybe it's better now with immunotherapy and some of the other treatments. But so I had gotten out of this surgery. I felt pretty good about it. We didn't see any cells that had escaped. The bladder, when they analyzed all the tissue that they had removed, it looked like we had gotten all the cancer out. So, but I still needed to do checkups, and I had a bunch of other surgeries associated with this one, hernia and some other things that had to be taken care of. But 10 years later, of course, the cancer showed up. But I sort of white knuckled my way through it and figured, okay, I'm done. It was physical. I didn't, the emotions of dealing with a possible death if this thing escaped the bladder. That was part of that initial surgery and other surgeries. But I kept going further, getting more and more of a distance. I used to say I want to see cancer in my rearview mirror. But at that 10th year, and it was so bad. It had become metastatic and was throughout, and all of a sudden I was looking at a 5% survival rate. That was my 14th surgery down at Lenox Hill Hospital. But that started, I got into 12-step recovery a couple years earlier because of a crisis in my marriage. And so I started that internal journey of recovery, especially the fourth step of doing an inventory of my life, looking at myself honestly and kind of fearlessly, like who am I really, looking in the mirror, the good, the bad, the ugly. That had started me on that inner journey, like who am I really, looking at my family of origin, looking at the ways I've been hurt and I've hurt others, all that. That was a great part of the journey. But then, and that happened 2 years before this 2015 really sea change surgery down at Lenox Hill. And so when I did that, I was discovering that my cancer journey was not just a physical journey, but that my higher power, God, wanted to do something in my life, emotionally and spiritually, which involved my mind and my thoughts, my soul, everything. And so the cancer journey for me was not just a physical journey, it was this internal, inner journey, transformative. I mean, I discovered for the first time what powerlessness really was. I couldn't fix this. I couldn't manage the things in my life that were going crazy, marriage and other things. And so I discovered what powerless really felt like. I mean, in that 14th surgery, I was stripped down, bankrupt. I didn't want to continue. I wanted to just end it there. I was facing an end of life process, and I'd done that before with cancer patients, and it's horrible. Didn't want to do it. But God moved in a powerful way because I opened that door in my life, and He did some amazing things. Me getting powerless, but he showed up as a rescuer, as a comforter, as a healer, and a transformer. And so that's just my message today is, can I not think of the cancer journey as just a physical journey, white knuckling, how can I get through it? But as an invitation, again, as an opportunity for my higher power to do something within me which is so beyond what I thought possible. There's this scripture passage that talks about even though the outward man is wasting away, kind of the aging process, the inner man is being renewed, or the inner person. And I thought about what does that look like in my life? And this cancer journey drove me to a place of dependence on Christ. I need you, Jesus, in my life. And that's where the renewal came. And my relationship with him being deepened, strengthened, spending time in silence and solitude, spending time in the Word, spending time in submission and surrender. Those were the unbelievable transformative changes. Usually when I talk about cancer and in the Christian spaces, people like to just focus on physical healing, and I'm like, yeah, that's wonderful. I mean, God physically healed me in a miraculous way, but not everyone gets that. And man, I feel like there's even a greater purpose than physical healing, and it is the transformation of that person's life into what God would want for them. So that's my word. Thank you. Bye.